One of the wildest stories of 2023, a sorority of women had a biologically born man join, and in the process of joining, a lawsuit was filed. I wanted to highlight one of my favorite creators, Dr. Grande, who talks about this. Now, from my understanding, Dr. Grande is not a conservative. Dr. Grande, I don't think he's a Christian. He's not someone that makes this sort of content regularly, but he tries to call it down the line.
This case takes place at the University of Wyoming, Cheyenne. It involves a transgender woman named Artemis Langford, who uses the pronouns she and her. She claims that she has been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder.
The correlation of the number of folks from the Transformers community and autism spectrum disorder is high. Now, I'm not saying that there's causation, but if you look into the numbers, there's definitely some correlation there. It's interesting to see this happen in Wyoming, okay? Wyoming this isn't New York City, this isn't California, this isn't San Francisco, this isn't Wyoming. This is in the Midwest. If anybody's been in the Midwest, let me tell you, Midwest is not the coastal elites.
In November of 2022, Artemis was permitted to...
Okay, all right, now stop. Just, guys, come on. Something don't look off in this picture. Something don't look a little sus about this picture. Really?
Joined the Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority. The presence and behavior of Artemis in the sorority upset some of...
I'm sorry, these pictures are ridiculous.
...the other members. In March of 2023, 7 members filed a lawsuit against the sorority.
Seven. It wasn't one. It wasn't one person that was a bigot and had a phobia. It was 7. 7 women.
Essentially, the sorority sisters wanted Artemis to be removed from the sorority due to the fact that she was a biological male and the organization only accepted biological females. The sorority that the plaintiffs belong to is actually called the Kappa Kappa Gamma fraternity because it predates the use of the word sorority by 30 years.
I wonder if that's the loophole in all of this because it's considered it belongs to a fraternity. That's very interesting.
The bylaws of the sorority limit membership to women only. The plaintiffs argued that the definition of a woman is, quote, an adult human female, unquote. During the history,
I think fairly reasonable,
of the sorority, it has consistently described itself as a single-sex organization. Federal law grants permission to fraternities and sororities to discriminate based on sex, indicating that women or individuals identifying as women could be admitted. The plaintiffs were not happy about this, believing it disregarded biology, as well as the sorority's history, purpose, mission, and bylaws. The terms gender and sex were normally conceptualized as meaning the same thing, but the board of directors viewed gender as a broader construct than sex, one that includes identity. Plaintiffs argued that, quote, an adult human male does not become a woman just because he tells others that he has a female gender identity and behaves in what he believes to be stereotypically female behavior.
Oops.
Unquote. Artemis Langford was, quote, conflating the experience of being a woman with the experience of men engaging in behavior generally associated with women, unquote. The lawsuit asserted that the phrase, quote, trans women are women, unquote, is a political slogan not supported by social science or medical research.
Okay, now that's a pretty bold claim there. It's a political slogan not supported by social science or medical research, because that's really what the debate is happening right now. Is this a biological reality? I don't think so. Is this a neurological reality? Well, in the sense that your thoughts make you feel things. And so because your thoughts make you feel things, then we should acknowledge whatever you're feeling on the inside. You see how dicey this gets? But that's what's being debated right now within the medical field.
The board of directors betrayed the central purpose of the sorority by allowing Artemis Langford to join. The board of directors by itself does not have the authority to allow biological men to become members of the sorority. Essentially, the plaintiffs argued that the sorority broke its own rules by admitting Artemis as a member. Simply distributing a publication saying that trans could be admitted is not the same thing as changing the bylaws. Some of the history of the sorority was covered in the lawsuit, like how it has provided a place where young women can speak for themselves. It was supposed to be a place free from social pressure of how men think women should behave. The sorority intended to unite women and convey a spirit of mutual love and helpfulness. Having a biological male in the sorority undermines these objectives. The lawsuit reviewed some
you don't say
of the logistical problems with having a biological male in the sorority house. The Kappa Kappa Gamma house at the University of Wyoming does not have the facilities to support both men and women. For example, many of the doors do not lock, and there are communal bathrooms.
I just want you guys to know, this is the warm-up. Once you hear about the details of this case, you are going to be shocked.
The lawsuit offered a description of Artemis Langford, Artemis is a biological male. He is 6'2" and weighs 260 pounds. No other member of the sorority has comparable size or strength. Artemis
I like how he had to throw that in there.
identifies as a woman, but her behavior does not reflect a man living as a woman. Artemis was involved in a motor vehicle collision in January 2023. She presented her Washington state driver's license to a police officer. The license stated that Artemis was a male, even though under Washington state law, she could have selected female.
So this is where it gets dicey. Now you can identify as whatever you want, and there's no implications that you have to do anything illegally, like change your driver's license, especially when someone's 6'2", 6'2", dog. It's the size of a linebacker.
In the spring of 2023, Artemis lived in a dormitory, but spent time at the sorority house. So she was not actually a resident of the Kappa Kappa Gamma house, but would spend time there.
Okay, just buckle up. Just buckle up, because this gets dark.
Artemis often wore baggy pants and only occasionally put on women's clothing. She only made a marginal effort to resemble a woman. For example, 5 o'clock shadow was observed on her face.
So this person is not have their preferred new sex on their driver's license. This person is walking around with a 5 o'clock shadow in baggy pants. Imagine your daughter, your sister, your niece at a sorority house and a 6'2" dude with a 5 o'clock shadow walking around in baggy pants, just chilling. Oh, but it gets worse, ladies and gentlemen.
When Artemis would get into a disagreement with another person, she would claim the other person disagreed with her because she was.
Of course.
Artemis would then state that disagreeing with her was an act of discrimination. She tried to use her transgender identity to threaten others with discipline,
of course,
especially those who did not support her membership in the sorority.
Yep.
She did not study. She did not speak to the residents. Artemis did not have a meeting with somebody there. She stared at women as they walked around.
Darkness.
During one instance, a woman who was walking down the hall to take a shower felt an unsettling presence, turned around, and saw Artemis watching her silently. The lawsuit.
This is a sickness of the highest order.
Oh, it gets worse, ladies and gentlemen.
Asserts that Artemis was sexually attracted to women, and it was clearly visible through her pants that a soldier was standing at attention.
Darkness.
6'2", 5 o'clock shadow, baggy pants, in areas where women are about to take a shower. What a boner. Just, could you imagine? Ideas have ramifications. Ideologies have ramifications. In an effort to weaponize empathy, there are consequences when people who might have other issues will hijack movements for their own gain. All these things have ramifications. Let's keep going, though.
Sometimes Artemis would put a pillow in her lap, presumably to provide the soldier cover.
Put a pillow over the... We know what you're doing. You got a pillow over your erection, dude.
Artemis repeatedly asked one of the plaintiffs about her romantic attachments. Artemis repeatedly questioned women about birth control, what their genitalia looked like, breast cup size, and whether they were considering breast reductions.
What an inappropriate question for anyone to ask any woman. Are you considering like, that's such an inappropriate conversation to have.
She talked about kissing a girl and mentioned her virginity.
No, I get it, Zach, I get it. Artemis was a lesbian. It all makes sense now. 6'2", linebacker built, 5 o'clock shadow, baggy pant wearing, erection having, Artemis, lesbian. That's it. We solved it. We figured it out. It all makes sense now.
When the party was over and everyone was trying to sleep, Artemis stayed in the corner and loudly sang the song, God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. On other occasions, while spending time in the house, Artemis would take photographs with her cell phone without the knowledge or consent of the people being photographed. Sometimes she was trying to take the photographs covertly. When concerns about the alleged behavior of Artemis were brought to the sorority officials, they were dismissive and told members that if they were uncomfortable or concerned about their safety, they should quit the sorority. They were also told that they should just avoid using the same bathroom, and since Artemis identified as a woman, they should have no reason to feel uncomfortable.
This is gaslighting at its finest. I know that there is this person in your space, but regardless, we are going to, you are the one with the issue. This is the same thing that they told to Riley Gaines right? You're the person with the issue. When Riley Gaines like, I don't feel comfortable changing what Leah Thomas in my locker room. I'm naked, exposed, trying to get into these little bathing suit for the swim thing. And they're like, no, you're the one that has the issue.
Members of the sorority did not feel comfortable with Artemis and did not want to live in the sorority house. If enough members do not sign up to live in the sorority house, the chapter will become financially unsustainable. The presence of Artemis in the house could destroy the sorority chapter. The lawsuit implied that the voting process through which Artemis was admitted into the sorority was flawed and manipulated. Members were pressured to vote in favor of her admission under the threat of being called transphobic.
Now, here's what I think. The plot twist. I think Christian sororities and in these situations actually have an opportunity to seize this moment and be like, hey, good. Let these goofy, bizarre, radical leftist sororities go bankrupt. Let all of them go bankrupt. And then we'll open up space into sororities where women are women and men are men, and we're not going to do all this stuff. Right? I think there's a huge upside. I think this, because what you'll have is you'll have an influx of women that aren't even Christian that will want to just join safe spaces. Remember those? Safe spaces. I just don't want to be I don't want to be in that sorority because they're crazy. So I'm going to join a Christian sorority. And then in the process, you create a Christian environment. You require them to go to chapel. You require them to do Bible study. This could be a huge on-ramp to get people saved.
For the fall 2022 semester, Artemis had a 1.9.
Why was this person even at the college? A 1.9 GPA? Are you even allowed to be at a college with a 1.9? I thought you, if anything below a 2.0, you flunk out. Or is it not like, is it not like, I don't understand.
In late August 2023, a district court judge ruled against the sorority sisters.
I'm telling you, this would be the time to start a Christian sorority if you've ever wanted to, or this would be the time a Christian sorority stand up and start and get popping.
The judge indicated that the bylaws of the sorority did not define the term woman. He said that he would not invade the sorority's right to make and interpret its own rules. Item number 1, attorneys for Artemis Langford denied the allegations against her, including the accusation that she was aroused when watching the sorority sisters.
Of course
they argued that the allegations should not have been contained in the lawsuit. The court agreed.
What? So you deny the allegations, then you say you shouldn't have these allegations in the lawsuit.
The judge indicated that the alleged behavior was irrelevant.
The alleged behavior of Artemis having a boner around women in their sorority was irrelevant?
I think with this particular statement, the judge was correct. The issue was really about the bylaws of the sorority and whether or not a biological male was permitted to join.
No, me and Dr. Grande are going to disagree on this. No, I don't think it was relevant. I think these women I think they don't want to feel like they're objects, which is reasonable.
The case was not about the behavior of Artemis. The lawsuit makes Artemis look like a creepy individual and implies that she may not be sincere with her gender identity.
You call him a creepy individual.
Another possibility is that her gender identity is sincere, but Artemis is taking advantage of it to gain satisfaction. Here is a theory which can be inferred from the statements contained in the lawsuit. Artemis is physically unattractive, so perhaps her prospects for romantic interactions are limited. She decided to join a sorority to have an opportunity to be around young women in a personal and intimate setting. This bypassed all the traditional restrictions typically seen in social situations. Artemis was given a ticket into a secret world that she normally could not have accessed. This was exciting for Artemis. She did not know how to react. She could not contain her curiosity. This led to the alleged bad behavior, like staring, taking photographs, manifesting physical signs of arousal, and crossing boundaries in conversations. Essentially, under this theory, Artemis beat the system. Is this theory reasonable, or is Artemis simply a well-intentioned individual who is being falsely accused of creepy offenses? There is no way to know the truth, but based on the evidence, it does seem like Artemis deliberately violated boundaries in the sorority house. One can make an argument, however, that sincerity is not really the issue here. The problem here was that a biological male was admitted into a sorority. Nothing would change even if Artemis was extremely convincing in looking and acting like a woman. There is no escaping the biological component. Item number 3. As I mentioned in another video about the transgender ideology, I think many people are fine with the concept of somebody being transgender, but they do not want the ideology applied in a way that violates other people's rights.
That's it. That's it. What you do is what you do. I have all sorts of personal views based on the scriptures, but we live in a pluralistic situation. Pluralistic nation, meaning there's going to be folks with different views, different backgrounds, different faiths, different ideologies. What you do is what you do. The issue is when what you do impedes on what I'm going through or my family's going through. There we then start to become, we diverge and we have tension. Most people aren't fans of PDA, public displays of affection, whether it's men or women, whether it's man versus man with a woman or man with a man. Most people just in public places, it's just like, can you just not make out in front of my kids? Can you not touch each other that way in front of my kids? That really is what it comes down to.
It's one thing for a biological male to identify as a woman. It's something entirely different to become an interloper and cause stress to innocent people. Another concern,
You call him an interloper.
is that the term woman has been redefined by a political movement and not by science.
Woo! Dr. Grande said it. I didn't say it. Dr. Grande said a political movement. I would extend it. I'd say a political and a religious movement.
There's a sense that those who promote the transgender ideology in a militant way are irrevocably connected to an anti-science agenda.
Anti-science agenda.
Item number 4. One comment that really stood out in the lawsuit was when the sorority officials allegedly told the members that since Artemis identified as a woman, the sorority sisters should not be uncomfortable with her. If this allegation is true, it demonstrates arrogance, a lack of insight,
That's right.
and a lack of empathy
That's right.
on the part of the officials.
That's right.
They are invalidating the feelings of these sorority members, essentially telling them how they should or should not feel. Also, the officials allegedly tried to shame the members by implying that they were transphobic. This intellectually lazy accusation is a common refrain in these types of situations.
See, whenever you put a phobia behind something, you completely get rid of any need to discuss the ideas.
This brings me to item number 5. Why do some people promote the transgender ideology in a militant way? What could they possibly have to gain? Here's a theory
This is a crazy theory, by the way.
about this behavior. Due to an increased level of sensitivity about bullying and being judgmental, it's a lot harder for antagonistic and combative people to harass others. Some of the people who promote the transgender ideology do so from a place of insincerity. They don't really care about transgender people. Rather, they just want an opportunity to create bad guys to attack.
Wow.
It's like a military unit in peacetime. They are built for combat, and it is no fun for them when they cannot be aggressive. People like this force these unusual and drastic situations, like a biological male joining a sorority, under the guise of promoting peace, love, and equality. But it's really about causing trouble.
Sheesh.
They're trying to elicit a reaction in order to create an adversary.
This is such an interesting assessment of why we go down these rabbit holes.
They are provoking a fight and then playing the victim. Item number 6.
They're provoking a fight and then playing the victim.
Do I think the judge made the right decision in this lawsuit? No.
Yeah, of
I think the
course not.
judge sidestepped the entire lawsuit by pretending as though the term woman does not have a scientific definition and is open to interpretation. It's clear that Kappa Kappa Gamma was originally formed as a single-sex organization. I find it hard to believe that the judge doesn't have the reading comprehension and critical thinking skills to figure out what the term woman means.
Based. We see according to the Bible that prayer is extremely important in terms of us being transformed from the inside out when we get aligned with God's will. For the Christians watching this channel, I want you guys to implement these spiritual disciplines in your day-to-day life. And the only way I've been able to do this consistently is through writing down my prayers in a prayer journal that does a few things. One, it allows me to reflect and come to God humbly and ask Him to move on my behalf. And 2, it allows me to document my prayers, which ultimately help me remember the very things that I was praying for and see the hand of God tangibly in my life when He answers them. So I would urge you, consider writing down your prayers. It could be in a blank notebook. It could even be on your phone. Or you could check out the one I personally designed and used from my own quiet time and spiritual discipline that I think will be a huge blessing. It's the exact structure and system that I've used for years to pray and be more consistent in my spiritual disciplines. You can pick yours up today by clicking the link in the pinned comment below. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.